Do you really think that Jerry Jones wants to hire Deion Sanders to be his head coach? No way. Does he want to have to share the stage with a personality that's even bigger than Jerry's, with an aura, with a mystique, a neon Deion, Coach Prime? I mean, Jerry gets buried in that one. Jerry becomes his sideshow story. He doesn't want that. He wants the stage to himself.
Skip Bayless goes off on Jerry Jones. I want you to hear exactly what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
I've loved my Dallas Cowboys since I was 10 years of age, and I am trying with all my might to get excited about a new Dallas Cowboy coach, and I'm having a hard time because they already have a coach.
Mike McCarthy wasn't the best option. The days were near for him to end. You know how Jerry Jones is when it comes to coaching. He got to control the whole situation.
Had a coach for a long time. In the almost 30 years that they haven't even made it back to an NFC Championship game, the real coach of our Dallas Cowboys has been Gerald Wayne Jones Jr., Jerry Jones, the most famous owner in the history of sports, whose team is the most valuable in all of sports. He is the owner and, trust me, the operator of our Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, when you coaching the Cowboys, just know that Jerry Jones, he's really the coach, the owner of the team. So he's going to make those player personnel decisions. And that's something that you got to deal with if you want to work for the Cowboys as a head coach.
And we are stuck. We are dead in the water. Jerry Jones once said, this is about a year into owning the Cowboys, he told Frank DeFord for a Vanity Fair piece, I could coach the shit out of this team. That's a quote from Jerry Jones as a young owner. Then the night he ran off Jimmy Johnson after winning back-to-back Super Bowls, he told a couple of Dallas Morning News reporters that 500 coaches could coach the Dallas Cowboys.
Huge mistake by Jerry. Ego got in the way. He had a Jimmy Johnson, legendary coach. They should have ran the table. He should have been there many years after getting those back-to-back championships.
He said it again a couple of weeks back when he was asked how many coaches would want to coach the Cowboys. If you do, Jerry, get rid of Mike McCarthy. And Jerry said there are 500 coaches who will be down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl who would want to coach this team. Unfortunately, Jerry, there are 10 or 12 who could coach the shit out of your team, who don't want to coach your team because of you, because they wouldn't want to have to live with you, because they knew they couldn't, they just couldn't survive with you running the operation, no matter how strong they were. I wanted Jim Harbaugh a year ago, and there's no way. I don't know what I'm thinking, pie in the sky. Jim Harbaugh isn't not gonna coach for Jerry Jones. He's my coach of the year.
Yeah, Harbaugh would have been a great addition to the Cowboys team, but again, when Jerry Jones is there, he's going to pick the less competent coach, so he gets all the credit.
The LA Chargers, I mean, come on. Troy Aikman nailed it the other day, as in put the final nail in our coffin. Troy Aikman, who knows the Dallas Cowboys inside and out. He condemned Jerry Jones without even having to speak his name.
Went off.
He said on ESPN this past Monday, ahead of that Rams game, this is what Troy said. I'm going to read it one more time I'm sure you saw it. But
yeah, go ahead.
As far as being a coveted job, he said, of the Cowboy job, I don't know that that is accurate. What?
Yes, tough being under the Jerry Jones regime. Again, you got to be prepared for him to make all the player personnel decisions. I don't know if a coach wants to deal with that for many years to come.
They're the Dallas freaking Cowboys, Troy, and he continued. The Cowboys are obviously a high-profile job. Whoever is head coach of that team is certainly going to draw a lot of attention. But I think that most football people who take over as head coach, they want to do it on their own terms. Bingo. And that's hard, said Troy, to do in Dallas. Yeah, it's impossible. Then Troy concluded by saying, you take the Lions, Dan Campbell, for example. Is Dan Campbell if he's with the Cowboys?
Probably not.
No. Jerry wouldn't let him be Dan Campbell, which brings me to Deion Sanders. I campaign like a fool, like a pie in the sky fool, like a naive fool. I've campaigned for Deion to be coach of my Dallas Cowboys for a year and maybe 3 months.
It's alleged that Jerry's in talks with Deion. That's the best case scenario if you're the Cowboys fans. They want Deion Sanders there. And I think Jerry Jones, he'll take his foot off the gas and allow Deion to be Deion.
Back to my days on Undisputed, as we started into, I'm going back 2 seasons ago, I was out of my mind for Deion in Boulder and Deion in Dallas. I kept saying, he's born to coach the Dallas Cowboys. He's got a house in Dallas, raised his kids, raised Shador and Shiloh in Dallas.
Good fit.
Yeah. But here's the point. And obviously, Jerry went right out of his way because he's a PR master, and he made it clear. He leaked the story. He called Deion that first day after he fired old Mike McCarthy.
Of course.
By the way, Mike McCarthy, before I leave him behind, he was perfect for Jerry Jones. He's an offensive coordinator. He's a bump on a log. Jerry wants a coach who will stay out of Jerry's way, stay out of the spotlight, and be a puppet coach. Do exactly what Jerry tells him to do.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy was that boy. Do as Jerry Jones says. Don't question him in the media. Keep a positive attitude. So he was the best coach as far as a Jerry Jones type of coach, but you got to level up if you're the Cowboys.
And Mike was happy. He was out of football for a year. Yeah, he had a Super Bowl ring thanks to Aaron Rodgers. That was 15 years ago. But yeah, he was happy to be the Cowboy coach because he loved the stage without actually being on the stage because it's Jerry's stage. No owner does post-game press conferences. No owner does 2 radio shows a week in the home city. But Jerry does because it's his whole life. He is the all-time ego maniac, run amok. He's got the biggest stage in sports, and he lives on it and loves it and thrives on it, but he doesn't want a head coach to get in his way. He tried Parcells for a little while and didn't work because Jerry's the GM, and Jerry wanted to pull all the strings and make all the decisions, and Bill balked immediately because Jerry went out and get your popcorn ready, got him a TO, and Bill Parcells wouldn't even speak Terrell Owens' name.
Yeah, Jerry Jones got to get out his way. If you want the Cowboys to be a great team, it starts from the coaching on up. So Jerry, get out the way, hire the best coach. You got Deion out there. Do everything in your power to get Deion out of Colorado.
Because he didn't want him. And Jerry said, no, I do this part of it, Bill. You know, I buy the groceries. You coach the groceries. And Bill didn't last very long, obviously. And he was out of there, which brings me back to Deion. Yeah, Jerry makes the call to Deion because it's an I'll scratch your back move for Jerry because he needs the publicity of, I'm doing whatever it takes. I'm going to go after the biggest, hottest candidate out there. Baloney. Deion had already made it clear he is not leaving Colorado. Kickstand down. He just recruited 2 of the top quarterbacks in the country, a veteran and a freshman.
True. That sounds good now, but you offer Deion the right amount of money. He only has an $8 million buyout at Colorado. So it's not out the water yet, maybe not this season, but if there's a way to get Shador and Shiloh on the Cowboys, eventually I can see Deion Sanders spinning the block and becoming a Cowboys coach.
He is positioned to go win a couple of national championships over the next 5, 6, 7 years in Boulder, Colorado.
I doubt it.
Again, would he be the perfect? Yes, he would. Could he handle Jerry? Yes, he could. I think Jerry respects him enough that Deion could handle Jerry Jones. He could finesse through all the crap that you have to go through. But here's the point. Do you really think that Jerry Jones wants to hire Deion Sanders to be his head coach? No! No way! Does he want to have to share the stage with a personality that's even bigger than Jerry's? With an aura, with a mystique, a neon Deion, Coach Prime. I mean, Jerry gets buried in that one. Jerry becomes his sideshow story. He doesn't want that. He wants the stage to himself.
Good point by Skip, but again, I think if anybody can coach the Cowboys and kind of have Jerry Jones fall back and play the background role, it is Deion Sanders. So, over history, of course, Jerry Jones, he wants to take all the credit. But if you're Deion Sanders, I think that's the only person that can kind of put Jerry Jones in his place and be able to run the team efficiently.
He needs a puppet. He needs a bump on a log. My God, before I leave Troy's quote about could Dan Campbell be Dan Campbell for Jerry Jones? No, because Dan Campbell took over that franchise and remade that culture.
He
and
did a great
by the way,
job.
one candidate that still just sticks in the very back of my psyche is Jason Witten. He's a high school coach at Liberty Christian in Argyle suburb of Fort Worth. They've won a couple of state championships there. And Jason Witten does have some Dan Campbell in him. I'm just saying, does he have enough experience? Because Dan Campbell had a lot of experience. He was an interim head coach, remember, in Miami for a while and proved that right away the team responded to him. Then he was the assistant head coach in New Orleans for 4 years. So he had proven track record. He was right on time in Detroit.
Yeah, Witten could be a good option. Cowboys legend. Jerry Jones rocks with him. He has to gain some more experience. Not sure if the high school level is going to just automatically translate to the NFL. But if you can rally the troops around you, have the players believe in you, he could have a Dan Campbell effect in Dallas.
And he almost got laughed out of town to start with. And look at him now. But he's got charisma, he's got power, he's got authority, he's a commanding officer. He's got general, he's got colonel. He's got personality, power that took over that locker room and that team. That team believes in him because he's going to go for the throat every single time.
Agreed.
Which brings me to Ben Johnson. So I saw an athletic poll the other day which concluded that fan apathy with the Dallas Cowboys is at an all-time high. It said probably at an all-time high, but it just is. There was a question about, the first question was about the franchise is lost, there's no reason for hope. 54% of the survey said yes to that. 54% of Cowboy fans surveyed by The Athletic said there's no hope because they get it. They've finally gotten it. They're stuck with Jerry freaking Jones.
So it looks like the delusional Cowboys fans, they're starting to come to their senses. If it's Deion, Witten, or one of the other top echelon coaches, you got to try to get one of them. You don't want to lose that fan base. They'll turn on you eventually, Jerry.
And then 40% of the respondents said they're not sure what to think. They're just hoping for the best. Well, I'm probably somewhere in there.
Good luck.
And then moving in the right direction, only 6%. And you got to be blinded, delusional Cowboys. I know we're all delusional, but now you got to be completely blind-eyed to this
Insane.
thing. So which candidate did 22% the most respondents want? Ben Johnson. I don't get it. I'm going to say it again. It's the Norv Turner syndrome. I knew Norv very well when he coached in Dallas. Never thought of him as head coaching material. Didn't have a big personality, kind of introspective, introverted, not a commanding officer, not somebody who could step in the door and take over a franchise. He was an offensive coordinator now, a really good one, but you don't want an offensive coordinator trying to run the football team. Two very different things.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. A lot of players may not, rock with that. You got to be able to command the locker room. So Andrew Turner, he was great, legendary offensive coordinator, but it didn't work out for him as a coach. So you got to look into that if you're the Cowboys. You got to get someone that's an overall coach, offense and defense. What
has Ben Johnson done in Detroit? Okay, so they have 5 Pro Bowlers on offense. He's really good at calling plays, designing game plans. I got that. Do you want him to come to Dallas and just be the coordinator? Bingo. But
that can work.
If you want him to be the head coach, he comes across as mousy to me. I don't get much personality at all. So he was a walk-on quarterback at North Carolina, and he wound up getting his degree in math and computer science, and I think that's what he is. He's a math, computer science nerd who's really good at analytics and calling plays on the fly. Is he going to come to Dallas just to be the offensive coordinator under head coach Jerry Jones, who's coaching the out of this team? Good luck and God bless is all I can say.
Skip hurting right now.
Yeah, Jason Witten does have some potential to me as somebody who might be able to handle Jerry Jones. But this brings me finally. There's only one candidate on this list, and he only got 7% of the vote. It went Ben Johnson 22%, Mike Tomlin, who looked like he was in play at this point, which he's not, 16.4% of respondents to the athletic poll. Deion was at 16.3 because I think most people thought it was not going to happen. Belichick was 7.7, not going to happen. Kellen Moore, 7.3. What has he ever done to show you he's a head coach? He's another very good offensive coordinator, but not somebody who could take over a franchise and remake the culture and destroy the country club culture
Not happening.
that has been created by Jerry Jones and run by his puppet coach, Mike McCarthy, the bump on a log.
Damn.
And then down at 7.1% is the almost overqualified candidate on this list. By far the best credentials, by far belong to Pete Carroll. And I've never been the biggest Pete Carroll fan, but when I look down this list, I say, could he coach the shit out of my team? Yes, he could.
Pete Carroll's a good option. You know, he can command the locker room. Had many great years with the Seahawks before they kind of tailored off. But Pete Carroll's a great option if you want someone that's going to rally the troops and do everything in his power to get the best out of those players. So don't sleep on a Pete Carroll coaching the Cowboys.
Okay, so there are three coaches in history who've won a college national championship and a Super Bowl. There are three. One was Jimmy Johnson, followed by Barry Switzer as the Dallas Cowboy coach. So he's won both. And Pete Carroll. One at USC, one in Seattle.
Shout out to Pete.
My friend Richard Sherman, when we were talking about Pete Carroll getting fired and they all, the old players went back and had a big night for him and with him. I mean, Richard Sherman gets tears in his eyes talking about Pete Carroll.
Pete was legit.
You
Good
want
coach.
to talk about a high-energy dynamo? I don't care how old he is. He's 73 going on 33.
Still got energy.
You want to talk about a super salesman? Maybe he's got a little bit of con artistry in him in a good way, but he can coach the you-know-what out of defense. He can hold players accountable. He could be what we need. He could be it.
I can see it.
Could he handle Jerry Jones, Pete Carroll? Yes, he could handle him just because he is such a super salesman. But would Jerry stay out of his way ultimately? I don't think so. I don't see it. I'm sorry. I'm just lost. I'm hoping for the best, but I just don't see it. I'm sorry.
Keep hoping.
My little girl,
Keep hope alive, bro.
She's with me. She's out of her mind. She knows it's
Dog
all is
losing his
lost.
mind.
It feels like there's no reason for hope. Is there any way to get rid of Jerry Jones? Can we vote him out of office? I don't think so.
Nah,
So
not happening.
I'm trying to keep my spirits up.
Yeah, Cowboys fans, hope that you can get Deion. That's your best case scenario if you want someone that can command the locker room, has that presence, that star power. Many great candidates, but if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, the fans, I want Deion Sanders to coach this team immediately.